We are the best kept secret in the universe. Our mission is to monitor extraterrestrial activity on Earth. We are your best, last, and only line of defense. We work in secret and exist in shadow. Agent K from Men in Black. Before Will Smith and the Men in Black, there was another man who was telling the world about his experiences with the Men in Black. His name was Albert K. Bender. Born 1925 and died on March 29, 2016 at the ripe old age of 94. He truly did outlive most of the original people in the UFO field. In 1952, Bender started the first UFO group that went to 48 states, called the International Flying Saucers Bureau. By late 1953, he came across information that provided him with enough knowledge he felt confident he knew the secrets of the UFOs. He was going to publish it in his magazine Space Review, but before that could happen, he was visited by three men, all dressed in black. They had already read a copy of his work, validated its authenticity, and gave him more information, but then told him, "We advise those engaged in the saucer work to please be very cautious." The silencers, as he called them, frightened him so badly he could not eat or sleep for days afterward. He suspended his flying saucer bureaus and cancelled the publication of the Space Review magazine. Time heals all wounds, and this was true about the warning from the three men in black. In 1962, Bender wrote a non-fiction book called Flying Saucers and the Three Men in Black. If you have Kindle, you can read the book for free through Amazon. I have done so and found it not well constructed and difficult to read. Also, he introduces his relationship with a person named Gray Barker. Gray Barker was a writer that eventually came up with a comic about the Men in Black that evolved into a cartoon show. Gray Barker is someone who exploited those interested in UFOs in the 1950s by writing books on the subject. At least that is how he was seen at the time. Because he was actually a skeptic. In fact, he set up hoaxes at times for the ufologists. Also, this book really did read like any 1950s novel on UFO, not as a non-fiction work. The reason Bender was so afraid of the three men is that they were dressed identically in black suits, ties, gloves, and white shirts and were constantly surrounded by a light blue glow. At one point, he wondered if this blue glow was the reason the three men stunk of sulfur. Their eyes glowed like light bulbs, and they were intimidating to Bender to an almost unbearable degree. Upon reading the book, I wondered, was Bender credible or pulling a hoax? I guess we will never know. I believe that some of his experiences are those of a multidimensional nature, that the ET's people experience maybe come to Earth in a way that is through portals. I don't trust Gray Barker and think that not all the influence on Albert K. Bender was genuine or trustworthy. However, he is not the only person to see the Men in Black, just the first recorded. Now about Gray Barker, he was born 1925 in West Virginia. After college, he began collecting supernatural stories and submitted an article on the Flatwoods Monster to Fate magazine. Then began to write articles for Albert K. Bender's International Flying Saucer Bureau. In 1970, he wrote a book called The Silver Bridge, about the collapse of the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, December 1967. He died of a heart attack in 1984. He was a writer, some alleged he was a storyteller in his writings, and yet he was part of the fabric of the UFO community in the middle of the 20th century. I will follow up later with more on Gray Barker.